On our wedding day, my fiancé openly abandoned me to be with his pregnant childhood friend as she gave birth. Facing the mocking stares of all the guests, I removed my veil and went to the hospital to demand an explanation from him. There, I saw him holding his childhood friend's newborn baby, his eyes filled with tenderness. His childhood friend deliberately asked, "Liam, it's your wedding day. What if Grace gets angry that you came to be with me during childbirth? The wedding can be rescheduled any time, but I couldn't bear to leave you alone in the hospital during such an important event as childbirth. From now on, I will be the child's father. I will never let you two be bullied." Later, when I chose to marry someone else, he burst into the wedding venue like a madman, begging me for another chance. I walked out of the hospital in a daze and immediately pulled out my phone to dial a number. "Julian, that promise you made to marry me, does it still stand?" Julian's nonchalant voice came from the other end of the line. "Grace, what do you take me for? Your backup plan? If you're not willing, I'll find someone else. I'll marry you," Julian said through gritted teeth. "Grace, you're the one who said you'd marry me. No backing out later. It's a deal." Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. After finalizing the wedding date with him, I hung up and returned to the wedding venue. I apologized to all the friends and relatives who had come for the wedding, informing everyone that the ceremony had been postponed for a month. After seeing everyone off, I dragged my exhausted body back home. I had barely sat down when I heard a noise at the door. Liam walked into the room, his eyes filled with apology as he looked at me. "Sweetie, I'm so sorry, but today really was an emergency." A bitter smile touched my lips. "An emergency? What could be more important than our wedding?" Liam looked at me and said, "A friend of mine had an accident, a matter of life and death." I didn't have time to explain then, I just had to take her to the hospital first. If I hadn't seen him and Chloe looking like a family of three with my own eyes, perhaps I would have believed his excuse. On our wedding day, the groom was nowhere to be seen, and his phone was unreachable. At first, I thought something had happened to him on the way, and I was worried sick. It wasn't until I saw Chloe's social media post that I realized he had gone to be with her during childbirth. Looking back now, I was a complete fool. Tears streamed down my face. I didn't want to cry for him, but my heart was uncontrollably aching. Seeing this, Liam immediately panicked and pulled me into his arms, comforting me. "Sweetie, I know you've been wrong today. I promise I won't miss our next wedding." I raised my hand and pushed him away from my chest, my voice choked. "No need. We won't be having another wedding." Liam, however, didn't believe me. "Don't say things you don't mean. I know you've rescheduled the wedding for a month from now." I was about to tell him that he wouldn't be the groom at the wedding a month later, when his phone rang. After answering the call, Liam's expression changed. "Okay, I'll be right there." With that, he released me and headed out. It wasn't until he reached the entrance that he explained, "I have an urgent matter I need to deal with right away. Wait for me patiently at home, and we'll discuss the wedding when I get back." I didn't reply. A long while later, I picked up my phone, opened my social media, and saw that Chloe had posted another update. The accompanying photo was a side profile of Liam holding a baby. Who understands the pain of engorgement after giving birth? Luckily, the baby's father is here to help me. He's incredibly good at relieving it. I laughed self-deprecatingly. So that was the urgent matter he had to deal with? I grabbed a chair and smashed it against the wall, shattering our wedding photo. Then, I called a cleaning service to throw out everything related to Liam in the room. The next morning, I got up, put on light makeup, and went to work. I allowed myself to grieve for love, but I wouldn't allow myself to wallow in despair because of it. Perhaps I had been plagued by bad luck recently, because on my way to work, I was hit by a car that changed lanes illegally, injuring my leg. I was sent to a nearby hospital for treatment. And it was there that I unexpectedly encountered Liam, who was walking downstairs with Chloe in his arms. Our eyes met, and Liam immediately withdrew his hand from Chloe's shoulder, asking anxiously, "Sweetie, what happened to you?" I replied calmly, "Nothing much, just a minor accident and a leg injury." Liam immediately hovered around me, busying himself with getting me registered, x-rays, and medicine. Chloe's eyes flashed with jealousy as she provoked me. "Grace, your wedding didn't happen, so I win. But I underestimated you, you're surprisingly tolerant. However, if you think this will keep you by Liam's side, you're gravely mistaken." Liam and I met in college. We started dating because we shared an umbrella during a rainstorm at the library. His tenderness and favoritism gradually made my heart fall for him. We had been in love for 5 years and were the model couple at university. Just when I thought we would continue our passionate relationship and finally enter the halls of marriage, Liam's childhood friend, Chloe, who had grown up with him, returned from abroad. She was 4 months pregnant and forcefully inserted herself between Liam and me. Grace, believe it or not, as long as I'm around, Liam will never marry you. At first, I scoffed at her words. Liam and I had 5 years of deep affection. And she was pregnant out of wedlock with another man's child. I didn't believe Liam would abandon me for her. It wasn't until our wedding day that reality hit me like a slap. But even if I lost, I didn't want her to be so smug. I looked at her and said coldly, Miss Chloe, no matter what, I am Liam's rightful fiancé. By what right are you saying these things to me? Is being the other woman some glorious profession now? Chloe lifted her chin and said, the one who isn't loved is the other woman. Just then, the ground suddenly began to shake. Earthquake, someone shouted. Liam, who was waiting in line for medicine, quickly ran towards us, grabbing Chloe's arm and rushing outside. Chloe frantically reminded him, Liam, the baby. Liam then turned and ran upstairs, grabbed the baby, and then left with Chloe. My gaze remained fixed on him, but from start to finish, he never once looked back at me. At that moment, I had to admit that my 5-year relationship with Liam meant nothing in front of Chloe. I didn't lose to Chloe, I only lost to him. It wasn't until the ground stopped shaking that Liam seemed to remember my existence. He walked against the flow of people and came up to me. He stammered, Sweetie, I was in such a hurry just now that I overlooked you. A bitter smile touched my lips as I said, it's fine. Of course, the baby is more important. Hearing my understanding, Liam's face showed a relieved smile. Sweetie, it's great that you understand. I'll take you back. But, holding the wailing baby, stood behind him, looking at him with tear-filled eyes. Liam, the baby seems to be startled. Liam's eyes filled with urgency, and he immediately turned around. I'll take the baby and Chloe upstairs first. Wait for me here. I silently nodded. The moment they went upstairs, I turned and left. Liam, I won't wait for you anymore. After resting at home for 2 days and letting my leg heal, I went back to work as usual. To my surprise, when I returned home from work, I saw Chloe and her baby in my house. Seeing me, she said with a triumphant look on her face, Ms. Grace, you're back. Liam was worried I wouldn't have anyone to take care of me after being discharged from the hospital, so he brought me and the baby here. My gaze fixed on the pajamas she was wearing, and I gritted my teeth. Take them off. Who gave you permission to touch my clothes? Chloe put the baby aside and walked closer to me, her smile widening. Of course, Liam did. Not just your clothes, but everything you have. I'm going to take it all. With that, she slapped me across the face. I immediately raised my hand to strike back, but she fell backward like a kite with a broken string. Then she cried out loudly, Ms. Grace, I didn't mean to wear your clothes. Ms. Grace, please don't be angry, I'll return them right away. She raised her hands and stripped off the pajamas, standing half naked in front of me. The baby beside her was also startled and started crying loudly. I froze for a second, quickly realizing I had been manipulated, but before I could speak, Liam burst through the door, rushing out. Seeing the scene before him, he pushed me to the ground. Grace, when did you become so vicious? How could you lay a hand on a helpless mother and child like this? Liam carefully picked up the baby, then took off his own jacket and draped it over Chloe. Chloe leaned into his arms, her face full of grievance. Liam, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have worn Ms. Grace's clothes. Don't blame Ms. Grace. Her words only fueled Liam's anger. He glared at me furiously and said, I told Chloe to wear your clothes. If you have a problem, take it out on me. Liam's unfairly biased attitude truly chilled my heart. Suppressing the hurt deep inside, I roared, this is my home. What right do you have to bring her back? What right do you have to let her wear my clothes? Liam helped Chloe up and looked at me. I thought both you and Chloe needed someone to take care of you, which is why I brought Chloe back, so I could look after both of you simultaneously. Since you can't tolerate her, then I'll take her away. Chloe's clothes got dirty from feeding, so I just grabbed one of your shirts for her to wear. I never imagined you would be so petty and narrow-minded. You stay here and reflect on your actions. When you've come to your senses, apologize to Chloe, otherwise, don't even think about me marrying you. With that, Liam left with Chloe and her baby. His accusations still echoed in my ears. The moment the door closed, I collapsed weakly onto the floor. Liam, I wasn't going to marry you anyway. A month later, I put on my wedding gown and stepped into Julian's wedding car, heading towards the wedding reception hall. On the way, I received a message from Liam. It's been a month. You must have reflected enough by now. Today is Chloe's baby's welcome party. Buy a gift and bring it over yourself. and I'll consider it your apology. I smiled, took a selfie in my wedding gown, and sent it back. No time, I'm getting married today. At the baby's welcome party, Liam's friends looked at him, teasing, Liam, you really keep things quiet. We thought you and Grace would get married, but who knew you secretly got together with your childhood friend and had a baby? But seriously, don't you think it's a shame to just abandon Grace like that? She's clearly far more appealing than your childhood friend. Hearing the group's discussion, Liam's brow instinctively furrowed. What rumors are you spreading? Who said Chloe and I are together and that I abandoned Sweetie? Everyone looked confused. Didn't you say yourself that you're the baby's father? Liam explained to them, I've always seen Chloe as a sister. Her baby lost its father at birth, and to prevent it from being bullied in the future, I became its godfather. Liam, you should have said so earlier. We saw you making such a fuss and thought it was your biological son. And, why haven't we seen her today? Is she angry? If you ask me, making the biological mother of your future child angry for the sake of a godson isn't worth it. Prompted by everyone. Reminders, Liam finally remembered that he hadn't contacted me since the last incident. Mostly, it was because taking care of the helpless mother and child had him up all night, plus looking after the new mother, so he was so exhausted he'd just collapse into bed every day. Thankfully, the baby was now a month old, and he felt he could gracefully step back. With that thought, he immediately took out his phone to contact me, but then felt it would be embarrassing to contact me directly after the harsh words he'd said last time. So he sent me a text message, thinking he was giving me an out, but he never expected to receive a reply saying I was getting married. Liam immediately called my phone, but only heard a robotic female voice informing him that he had been blocked. A never-before-felt panic surged into his heart. He turned off his phone and immediately ran outside. Chloe, quick-witted, grabbed him. Liam, the baby's welcome party isn't over yet. Where are you going? Liam shook Chloe's arm off and said, I'm going to find Sweetie. Sweetie said it's her wedding today, and I need to see what's going on. Hearing him say that, Chloe became even more determined not to let him go. She clung tightly to his arm, saying pitifully, Liam, Grace must be saying that on purpose just to get you to leave. The baby's welcome party isn't over yet. If you leave now, won't the baby be looked down upon later? Liam, after the party is over, I'll go with you to apologize to Ms. Grace, okay? Chloe's words were both pitiful and seemingly understanding. Normally, Liam would have stayed as she suggested. But now, my image filled his mind, and he couldn't care less about anything else. He more forcefully shook off Chloe's arms. Why does it matter to me if the baby is looked down upon? I'm not his biological father. This period of caring for the helpless mother and child had completely exhausted his patience. At this moment, he had not an ounce of patience left. After pushing Low aside, Liam immediately rushed back to my house, wanting to open the door, but found that I had changed the lock. After several failed attempts to open the door, he gradually calmed down. He quickly contacted our mutual friends and, after learning that the wedding was being held at the city's most luxurious hotel, immediately rushed there. I hadn't expected Julian to arrange such a lavish and grand wedding venue in just 1 month. The venue was adorned with fresh pink roses, and a faint floral fragrance filled the entire hall. Luxurious crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, shimmering brilliantly throughout. Julian, dressed in a black suit, sat at the piano, opening the wedding with Wedding. I have to say, it was exactly the wedding I had always imagined. After finishing the piece, Julian slowly walked towards me, bowing politely as he extended his left hand. My heart was pounding with nervousness as I placed my right hand in his. Our fingers intertwined, and Julian slowly led me by the hand towards the center of the stage. His voice firm, he looked at me and said, Grace, this time, you've given me your hand willingly. You have no chance to regret it. I looked at him, a slight smile on my lips, and repeated the same words I had said 3 years ago. Since I've made my choice, I won't regret it. The difference was, 3 years ago I chose Liam, now I chose him. Julian's smile widened at my words. We walked to the center of the stage and, in front of everyone, exchanged vows of a lifetime of commitment. Just then, the doors of the banquet hall suddenly burst open, and Liam ran in, sweating profusely, shouting, I object. Seeing this, Julian immediately grasped my hand, as if afraid I would run away. In a flash, Liam was in front of me. Sweetie, you're my fiancé. How can you marry Julian? You're doing all this just to spite me, aren't you? Now that I'm here, I'll take you away immediately. With that, he reached out to pull me, but Julian immediately. Why raised his hand to block him? I looked at Liam and said coldly, Liam, from the moment you abandoned our wedding on the day itself, disregarding my feelings, it was over between us. Liam hurriedly tried to explain, sweetie, Chloe was in labor, and it was a matter of life and death. I really didn't mean to abandon the wedding. I sneered, do you think that excuse can even fool yourself? You could have simply taken Chloe to the hospital and still rushed back for our wedding, but you chose to turn off your phone and stay there to be with her during childbirth. What, are you the obstetrician who delivered the baby, or the baby's biological father? Couldn't Chloe have given birth without you? My words left Liam speechless. His decision to abandon the wedding for the delivery now seemed truly irrational. Sweetie, I admit I was irrational then. It was wrong of me to leave you alone at the wedding venue. I promise you, I will never abandon you again. I smiled silently. It's too late. I, Grace, have never been someone who waits around to wallow in self-pity. Sweetie, don't. Julian interrupted Liam. Today is Sweetie's and my wedding. If you're here to offer congratulations, you're welcome. But if you're here to cause trouble, don't blame me for being unwelcoming. Despite the warning, Liam continued to shout and demand to take me away. Julian directly called security personnel and had him thrown out. With his disruption gone, the wedding continued. After going through the elaborate ceremony, by the time we returned to the bridal suite, I was so famished my stomach felt glued to my back. I just wanted to lie on the bed and not move. Julian brought a bowl of savory chicken noodle soup and placed it on the table, then began to remove the heavy ornaments from my hair. He looked at me with a smile in his eyes. How about it? Can you still move? Do you want me to feed you? Meeting his smiling gaze, my face immediately flushed with warmth. I quickly climbed out of bed. No, thank you. I still have enough strength to eat. I'll do it myself. The springy, hand-pulled noodles, coated in rich broth, were incredibly delicious. Julian watched me with doting affection the entire time, even reaching out to ruffle my hair. Slow down, no one's going to snatch it from you. After finishing the bowl of noodles, Julian's gaze at me grew deeper. Full now? Then we can get down to business. The way he said that at that moment made my heart thump a little, but I also knew that if I refused or procrastinated any further, I would just be being coy. I stood up, bracing myself like a soldier for a difficult task. You wait here, I'm going to take a shower. Julian's smile became more suggestive. All right, I'll be waiting for you. I spent over an hour in the bathroom, feeling like I was scrubbing off a layer of skin, finally building up my mental fortitude before pushing the door open and stepping out. Julian's voice was teasing. I thought you were planning to sleep in the bathroom tonight. I looked up at Julian. He had already showered in another bathroom and was now wearing a red robe, just like mine, leaning against the headboard. His robe was loosely tied, revealing his partially bare chest and faint abs. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to remain calm as I slowly walked to the bed. He reached out, grabbed my wrist, and pulled, sending me tumbling onto his chest. His warm breath brushed my ear. Honey, your husband has been waiting for so long. A tingling sensation ran through my ear, and my voice unconsciously softened by several degrees. Julian, don't be like that. He chuckled softly next to my ear, then firmly wrapped his arm around my waist, tilting his body so we were both lying on our sides on the bed. He raised a hand and delicately traced the lines of my face, his dark pupils reflecting only my image. Grace, I feel like I'm dreaming. Did I really marry you? His words, as they reached my ears, conveyed a poignant sadness. In college, Julian was a prominent figure, a typical rich second-generation kid who never missed out on fights, skipped classes, clubbing, or drinking, yet his grades were always excellent. No matter where he went, he was always the center of attention. As a well-behaved girl my whole life, by all accounts, he and I should have been like two parallel lines, never intersecting. But fate works in mysterious ways, and I became his lifesaver. He got into a car accident. The car's fuel tank was leaking from the back, and it could explode at any moment, making those who wanted to help hesitant to approach. Coincidentally, I was working a part-time job distributing flyers nearby. Seeing the situation, I unhesitatingly rushed forward to rescue him. I managed to pull him out in the very last second before the car exploded, and then I took him to the hospital. Julian stayed in the hospital for a full half-month because of the accident before he fully recovered. After recovering, he found me immediately and offered $5,000 as a thank you for saving him. I wasn't being dramatic, I simply took the money and turned to leave. But he chased after me with a playful grin. Grace, are you just going to take the money and leave? Aren't you going to try to hit on me, or maybe ask me out for dinner? I looked at him. Why would I hit on you or have dinner with you? He quite narcissistically ran a hand through his hair and said, isn't it obvious? You have a crush on me. Otherwise, why would you disregard your own safety to save me? There are plenty of people in school who have crushes on me. It's nothing to be ashamed of. I immediately rolled my eyes. Well, I'm truly sorry, but I saved you simply because I have a kind heart, and I have a boyfriend. I definitely don't have a crush on you. At that time, Liam and I had been dating for 2 years, and our relationship was stable. How could I possibly have a crush on a cynical playboy living life on his own terms like him? But from then on, Julian frequently appeared before me with all sorts of gifts. The latest iPhone, 999 red roses, concert tickets, they appeared almost in rotation, making me the center of attention at school for a while, constantly talked about wherever I went. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore and lashed out at him. Julian, what exactly do you want? I saved you, and I already accepted your reward. You're really bothering me. Julian still wore that cynical smile on his face. Grace, can't you tell? I'm pursuing you. Of course, I could tell he might have some interest in me, but that was precisely what bothered me. I told him seriously, I told you I already have a boyfriend. He still had that rogue smile on his face. So what? Who says I can't pursue you just because you have a boyfriend? I'm better looking than Liam, richer than him. Break up with him and be with me. I raised my hand and threw the roses he was holding directly into the trash. Sorry, I'm not interested in playing games with a rich heir like you. I love my boyfriend very much. Please don't appear in front of me again. But the more I rejected him, the more it fueled his desire to conquer. He pursued me even more intensely, even proactively finding Liam and challenging him to a one-on-one fight. Liam, naturally, was no match for Julian, who had been studying Taekwondo since childhood. He was beaten to the ground. That was one of the rare times I got angry. I raised my hand and slapped Julian, roaring, I'll never like a playboy like you who doesn't know how to respect others. In the world of love, it's not about who has the stronger fist. Even if Liam loses to you 100 times, he's still the one I love. Perhaps that was the moment Julian finally gave up. After that, he never appeared in front of me again. But he himself completely changed his playboy image from then on, and never again had any ambiguous relationships with any girls at school. It wasn't until 3 years later, after the news of Liam and my engagement spread, that Julian sent me a message again. Grace, I think you must have put a spell on me for me to still be thinking about you constantly. Congratulations on your marriage, but if you're ever unhappy, please remember I'm still waiting for you. At the time, I couldn't believe such a humble message could come from Julian. And that message truly became my fallback option. Thinking of this, I leaned in and pressed a soft kiss on Julian's forehead. This isn't a dream. I really married you, Julian. This time, I chose you. Julian's eyes welled up with tears as he looked at me. Then, he reverently kissed my forehead. The night was full of passion, and even the moon seemed to shy away behind the clouds. Life married to Julian was much happier than I had imagined. I took half a month off from work, and Julian and I went on our honeymoon. But I never expected Liam to cause a huge uproar online because he couldn't find me. He ordered enormous banners and hung them outside Julian's company, loudly accusing Julian of being the other man who used his power to steal his fiancée. This action quickly resonated with a group of anti-rich netizens online. I despise these rich heirs the most. They just got lucky and were born with a silver spoon. What makes them think they're superior? They're earning ill-gotten gains. As long as we all exercise self-restraint and don't spend, they'll go bankrupt eventually. The hatred of having one's fiancé stolen is irreconcilable. Boycott's company, starting with me. Julian's company faced a boycott, and its stock price plummeted. Because of this, we had to cut our honeymoon short and return to deal with Liam's antics. When I returned, Liam was still outside Julian's company, holding banners and making a scene. When he saw me get out of the car, his eyes brightened, and he immediately ran towards me. Julian instantly raised a hand to block him, but I pulled Julian's arm. Let me talk to him alone for a bit. Julian turned to look at me, finally cautioning, don't go far. I'll be right here waiting for you. I nodded. Having the chance to be alone with me, Liam's expression became even more agitated. Sweetie, I knew you still had feelings for me. I raised my hand and slapped Liam hard across the face. That slap is for you abandoning our wedding and leaving me to be ridiculed by everyone. Liam's face was turned to the side from the blow, and I slapped him backhanded again. That slap is for you abandoning me during the earthquake. Faced with my 2 slaps, Liam offered no rebuttal. He just looked at me with reddened eyes. Sweetie, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have abandoned the wedding, and I shouldn't have left you during the earthquake. I looked at him and demanded, Liam, honestly ask yourself, did I truly marry Julian because of his power? Liam shook his head and said, but I had no choice. If I didn't do that, you wouldn't have shown up to see me. His eyes were filled with hurt. Sweetie, we've been together for 5 years. I really can't live without you. Please come back to me. Yes. We were together for 5 years, yet it couldn't compare to the half-year Chloe was back. You publicly abandoned our wedding and humiliated me, all to be the father of her child, whose father was unknown. Liam, admit it. Deep down, you never loved me that much. Everything you're doing now is just out of resentment. Liam grabbed my wrist. No, sweetie, I love you. It's just that Chloe and I grew up together, and when she showed up pregnant, I had a moment of weakness, which is why I did such a wrong thing. I promise you, I'll never do it again. I truly know I was wrong. I forcefully pulled my hand away from his. But I don't have an obligation to keep waiting for you to change, nor an obligation to forgive your mistakes. Liam, in the 5 years we were together, I believe I never did anything to wrong you. If you continue to pester me like this, don't blame me for being ruthless. After all, we once shared a relationship. I don't want to really have to take this to court. With that, I turned and left without hesitation, just as he had abandoned me before. Afterward, I organized my online post and published the tangled tale of love and hate between Liam and me. Liam reposted my online post with a comment. Every word Grace said is true. I wronged her first, then harassed her, and even smeared Julian online to force her to appear. I sincerely apologize to everyone here. With that, the online backlash finally subsided. Julian, because of his 3 years of devoted love for me, was even dubbed a romantic hero by netizens, attracting many fans. As for Liam, after publishing his statement, he disappeared without a trace. Much later, I heard that after Liam published his statement online, he returned to his hometown. Chloe also chased after him with the child, crying and making a scene at Liam's family home, demanding he marry her. The neighbors who didn't know the full story thought Liam had seduced and then abandoned Chloe, and they condemned him relentlessly. Later, for some unknown reason, Liam changed his mind and actually married Chloe. However, their life after marriage was not as good as Chloe had imagined. After returning to his hometown, Liam picked up smoking and drinking habits and no longer cared for and doted on the helpless mother and child as he had before. Child, neglected by both of them, simply fell ill and died. After the child's death, Chloe, unable to endure such a life, filed for divorce. But, intent on making her suffer, stubbornly refused to divorce. Chloe, still his wife, was then caught having an affair by Liam. In a fit of rage, he grabbed a stick and beat Chloe, leaving her severely injured, and she eventually succumbed to her injuries. He himself was sentenced to death for intentional homicide. After hearing about their ending, I couldn't quite describe the feeling, perhaps more regret than anything else. That evening, Julian came home and bought me my favorite mangoes. My eyes lit up when I saw them. Julian peeled the mangoes and presented them to me, smiling. Little glutton. I retorted, am I the glutton? Clearly, it's your son who's craving them. Julian reached out and rubbed my bulging belly, teasing, my son is still too small to carry such a heavy burden. I laughed and playfully punched him. 3 months later, Julian and my child came into the world. From then on, we officially became a happy family of 3. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.